the a-hole for my response when my co-worker called my husband useless? I, female 36, work at a company, and recently we had a new employee join our department, Pam. Most of my co-workers are moms. They suggested that we gather at lunch break and start conversations with Pam and get to know her more. Pam was friendly. We started talking about our typical day-to-day routine. When it was my turn, he answered saying that I wake up at 6 a.m. Clean up, make breakfast, get the kids ready, then take them to school. Then pick them up from school after work, then do chores, then clean, then do laundry. Pam interrupted me saying, "Wow, so your husband is one of those useless, overgrown man-children that women try to parent along with their children then?" And everyone was like, I was taken aback, but said, "Actually, my husband is severely disabled. He can't work or do chores or childcare." She made a face and replied, "Oh well, my point still stands that you're basically living as a single mother, except, at least, your husband is not entirely useless in this case. It does bring something to the table, which is social security disability benefits, I suppose. But I'm sure it doesn't make up for him being an absent father and husband due to his disability." I got extremely offended that she was talking about my husband, the love of my life and father of my children, like that. The ladies were like, "Oh my god." So I said I didn't appreciate how she spoke about my husband, but she shrugged, saying, "Well, I wasn't technically lying, right? With people like your husband, there's really no point of being married. If you're acting like a single mom, then might as well become one, or go look for a real partner." I just lashed out asking what the hell she was talking about, and explained the important role my husband still has in mind in my children's lives. I called her rude and disrespectful for how she was talking about him, and how she belittled him as a husband and a father, and told her that her remarks about my husband could be nothing more than projection on her part. She laughed and said, "My husband is a doctor. That much is enough. Need I say more?" I asked her if her husband cooks and cleans after he gets home, then looked at her eyes and said, "The tiredness in your eyes suggests that all housework and childcare fall on you alone, correct?" She was red in the face and got quiet, looked around, then got up and excused herself to the toilet looking upset. The lady said that Pam has her own beliefs/visions about disabled partners should be, which is understandable, and she was just giving her honest opinion. But I took it too far by humiliating her and assuming her husband isn't doing anything. But according to her reaction, the answer was clear to me. They thought I shouldn't have spoken to our new co-worker in a mean way, and should have taken what she said with a grain of salt as it wasn't personal. They wanted me to apologize, but I said I won't apologize for what I said, even if I was rude. My co-worker's argument is that they too received harsh comments from Pam, but didn't take it personally since they were venting about other husbands. Edit. Pam isn't the first one to say stuff like that about my husband. My own family did this as well as others, so that's why I wasn't too surprised by her judgment, but still got offended. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. What do your co-workers mean you humiliated her? Didn't she say the exact same thing about your husband before she knew he was disabled? I think you did nothing wrong. And then even after finding out about his disability, instead of backpedaling or having the decency to be embarrassed, she doubles down instead and dug the hole even deeper. Not stay home. Don't start none, won't be none. That's the big a-hole move here. She had plenty of opportunities to shut up before Opie resorted to shutting her up. Can't take it? Don't deal it. Not like Opie said anything about colleague's husband she didn't say about Opie's husband, and colleague went much further. Not stay home. So here's what you learned about Pam today. Pam is an ableist. She's also a judgmental hypocrite who likely has one by one destroyed each of your co-workers in one way or another, so often that they shrug and say that's how she is. Here's what you've learned about your co-workers today. Your co-workers accept judgmental behavior as that's the way it is, and protect her from being hurt. They have accepted her behavior to the point where she is okay to humiliate others, you, but if she gets embarrassed, they protect her. I don't consider what you said rude, and I wouldn't apologize. Looks like karma's already found her, but she didn't learn. Absolutely. I noticed other behavioral issues with her, and it was obvious she's only pretending to be nice, and has a completely different personality than what she's showing. I feel uncomfortable around her honestly, even before this conversation occurred. I think you hit a nerve about her husband. Her strong views came from somewhere. He may be a doctor, but I suspect he is a piss-poor husband, partner, and father. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not showing up for a dinner with my sister when I found out she was planning to set me up? I, 34 male, am a single dad of 2 amazing kids. My 18-year-old son and my 14-year-old daughter. 14 years ago, my fiancé and the mother of my children died suddenly, and it destroyed me. She was my everything. We were supposed to grow old together, raise our babies together, share a life. She was my best friend for 15 years and my love for 6. After she died, my family expected me to date again, find love again, marry someone, and find another mother for my kids. But I have never had any interest in meeting someone else. I focus on being a good dad and enjoying my life the best that I can. I never wanted to move on, and I don't feel like that's something that will ever happen for me. About 2 years after my fiancé died, though, my sister started getting pushier. She told me I needed to find someone who could make me happy, that I deserved better than staying single for the rest of my life. I told her that it's my choice, and if that's what feels right to me, then it's what I'll do. For the most part, she lets it go once I say no, but she brings it up often enough that it has affected our closeness. 2 years ago, we stopped talking for months after she brought my kids into this plot to set me up, and was disappointed they didn't want to take part in it. When I found out, I was furious, and I thought that was the last of it when we reconciled because she saw I was willing to not speak to her, and her apology was the most genuine it had ever been. But then last week she told me she wanted to hang out. We were supposed to go to dinner in her favorite place. But a few days before that, I found out she was actually trying to set me up with this woman she knows. Once I found out, I just refused to show up. That dinner was Thursday, and yesterday she was furious that I hadn't shown. She said they had been waiting for me. I asked her who they was, and she said she had brought someone along for me to meet. I told her I no longer trust her after this. My parents sent me a message last night that it was rude to be a no-show, and I should understand they just worry I'm putting my life on hold and denying myself happiness. Am I the a-hole? Wow, not the a-hole. Your sister is not respecting your choice. I would not have showed up either. I don't think any of my family particularly like or respect my choice. The others push less because they know I will not tolerate someone trying to go against my boundaries and wishes. Apparently, I now need to stop talking to or seeing my sister because she will never learn. It's great that your kids get it and that take part in her plans. I don't get why she can't respect your choice. She doesn't get to decide what makes you happy. This, all the way. It enrages me when people try to use kids in their idiotic plots. Particularly this one. Hey kids, want to help me get you a new mommy? No. Just hell no. Not the a-hole. You're not ready to date and they should respect that. I get that your family wants you to be happy, but this is not helpful at all. I also hate the implication that you can't be happy without a significant other. I know it bothers them that I spent my 20s and now into my 30s without a significant other or even dating. But you know, I'm living my life the way I want, and I don't see myself ever dating. But that should be my choice. I'm old enough to decide this for myself. Not today, home. My mom never dated after my dad passed. I asked her why once, and her answer had stuck with me through the years. I already had the best. Why would I want anything else? If you have met your soulmate, your life is complete, even if they have passed. I relate to that a lot. I was in love with someone who was truly my best friend, and we didn't get enough time. But she gave me the 2 people I love the most in the world, and I'm forever grateful for that. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my boyfriend to stop sharing everything with my sister? Hi, I'm 24 female and have been dating my boyfriend, 26 male, for 5 years now. We grew up together as neighbors, and were friends for a couple years before dating. I love him so much, and I want to marry him. His family's great and I adore them all. And it's great with my family too. He also formed a great relationship with my sister, 21 female. But the issue is that I think their bond is too close. My boyfriend and I live together, but he spends a lot of time with her. Albeit I'm sort of busy. I'm currently in grad school for engineering, so I have to go to my classes. My boyfriend works full-time. My sister is currently taking a gap year, but that 1 year has extended from when she was 18. She comes over when I'm in seminars/classes. They have tons of inside jokes and share the same sense of humor and taste in movies. It makes me feel left out. But when I try to include myself, they both stop being so enthusiastic and acting like it's super awkward to have me there. My sister and I were close growing up, but started drifting when I went to uni. When my boyfriend isn't there and I talk to her, she becomes kinda cold and sometimes says rude things. Once, she told me to my face that I'm not good enough for him, that he deserves better, which made me cry for a couple days. He also gets her gifts for the most random achievements. Like, he got her a present for making it through the week. Even though she doesn't do anything, as she isn't currently working or trying to pursue a hobby or interest, she's just taking it easy. Her own words. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad my boyfriend and my sister are friends. But my major problem is that my boyfriend tells her everything. Literally everything. He tells her things he doesn't tell me and talks to her about me and our relationship. She knows all our issues and good parts, to a level of detail that I wouldn't even tell my closest friends or parents. She even knows the grades I got in my midterm/finals and what I think about my manager. I work part-time to contribute to our apartment, but I also get paid for my research, which goes towards our needs as well, which I feel is unnecessary for her to know since I didn't tell her myself. I asked him to step back a bit and stop telling her things about me and our relationship, but he was shocked and told me that I'm an a-hole for even requesting it. Now I feel guilty. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before the little update. Not the a-hole, but I'm 90% certain your sister and boyfriend are hooking up while you're in class. I'm 100% certain. I reserve 10% that they're just having an emotional affair, but sister at the very least would like it to be more. Anyone who tells you that someone deserves better than their current partner is talking about themselves. Not the a-hole. They're both grossly out of line and are at minimum having an emotional affair. Kick them both to the curb. I don't see how this is salvageable. I wrote way too many lines in my judgment where emotional affair would have cut it. Think you hit the nail on the head. Who is he in a relationship with? You or your sister or both? There are so many red flags here that I would be taking a serious look at your relationship. Keeps Opie for money and the sister is a side chick to bang when Opie is at home at this point. The level of we know each other very well is very unsettling, and it sounds like an emotional affair. However, I think there is more to it. Opie needs to take a step back and find out. Edit. Thank you all for your responses and advice. You've literally made me reconsider everything that I thought I knew. The consensus is that there is something shady going on with my boyfriend and my sister, which just makes me want to vomit. I'm now reading into every interaction and conversation, and I feel so naive for not noticing the red flags. I'm going to take your guys' suggestions and set up some nanny cams in my apartment. Either way, it'll be good security. If nothing happens, then it'll be reassuring. And if something does happen, well, I'll deal with that after. I'm going to drive to the store right now to pick up the cameras. I'll try to update soon, hopefully with positive news. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to suck it up? I am the main caregiver of our baby, 6 months old. I deal with a lot, including a medical condition that occasionally paralyzes me from neck down. It can take a few hours until I can move my hands when it happens, and sometimes even a whole day. My legs take longer. For the last 2 weekends, suddenly my hubby gets a high fever. No other symptoms, no COVID we checked, and claims he is too sick to even watch the baby for a minute while I pee. Last weekend I gave him all the space he needed, went to my folks' house and took care of him every few hours when my parents watched the baby. I was frustrated, but I understood. During the week he was okay again, worked till late and acted normal. Yesterday, a few hours after I started getting paralyzed, he suddenly broke with a low fever again, crying out that he is sick and he can't take care of the baby. With only one arm working, I took care of the baby all night long, terrified that it would go paralyzed as well. Whenever I begged for help, like change his diaper or make him a bottle, he yelled at me and got mad. This morning I lost all my limbs again, and my jaw was stuck for an hour. After that, while he complains that he's too sick and I need to handle the baby all day, I yelled at him to suck it up and take care of his child because it is not safe at all. I can't move my fingers. How can I keep a baby from falling, or feed him, or help him at all? He got really offended, saying I should be more compassionate to his fever and how cold he feels, and that I should find a way to unparalyze myself so he can sleep. I got even more mad, considering how many doctors told me that I cannot stress myself out of it, or it gets worse. He also said I am the a-hole, since it seems like I don't believe his mild fever is as severe as my condition. Am I the a-hole for not agreeing with him and telling him to take some responsibility for his child? Edit. My paralysis happens every few months, and I know an hour beforehand that something is wrong. I always call my husband or my emergency babysitters. I have a few. It only happened once before today since the birth, and I wouldn't give birth if it wasn't under some control. It is the first time in my marriage that he acts like this about my condition or the baby. I am not a neglectful parent just because I am disabled. I would contact family/babysitter before, but I couldn't move my fingers well enough to use the phone. I asked my hubby to call someone, but he refused because he was too cold. My sister-in-law came as soon as I managed to pick my phone up. I just needed him to watch the baby until then and after that. Not day home. It sounds like he's faking, honestly. He's fine during the week, but when he has to help with the baby on the weekends, he's sick? Even if he was faking, when you have a kid, the kid comes first. Sometimes you have to take care of the kid when you are sick or hurt. It just happens. Kids bring a lot of colds home and everyone at home catches them. Every parent has to take care of a kid when they feel like crap. It is how it works. The fact that he thinks he should get a pass because he has a fever, which is honestly the least crappy symptom you can have, even though his wife is paralyzed, is a sign he is a selfish a-hole and a bad parent. But if he gets a fever again, he needs to see a doctor. Recurring fevers are just not a normal thing. He certainly wouldn't want to pass anything along to the baby now, would he? This has to be rage bait. No one is genuinely that whiny and self-centered and absolutely stupidly careless. With a highly unlikely chance this is real, it'd obviously be not a hole. Your husband is absolutely useless. It is pretty obviously faking sick to get out of parenting. You don't have a partner. If you don't get a partner, what's the point of being married? Wish it was, really. I'm sitting here crying as this is not the man I married. Update. Thanks to your advice, I found the voice controls on my phone and can now use them. You had to talk with him without him yelling at me that he is cold and too sick to deal with me. We'll try to stay in another room tomorrow when I feel better. Update. Am I the a-hole for not letting my friends use my backyard for their wedding because they do not want me to bring a +1? Original post. Here is the situation. Last summer, I bought my grandparents' house. This house was the hangout spot for my friends and me throughout our childhood. This includes my friend Dave. The house has a sizable amount of land, which includes a lake and a gazebo. I was supposed to buy the house with my now ex-girlfriend, Leslie. But during the process of getting approved, I found out she had massive amounts of credit card and personal debt that she had hidden from me throughout our 4 years together. As a result, I decided to break up with her. That was about 6 months ago. I met Leslie because Dave's long-term girlfriend Kim is Leslie's cousin. Dave and Kim are engaged and set to get married in April. When I was buying the house, they asked if they could have the ceremony at the gazebo, and I agreed. In December, I started dating again. Leslie has not taken this well at all. She thinks we are going to get back together and has tried multiple times to make that happen. I have told her in no uncertain terms that isn't happening. Dave and Kim have now asked me not to bring a +1 to the wedding for Leslie's sake. I told them that this request is ridiculous. This wedding is happening at my house, on my land, and I am not allowed to bring a date because of a crazy ex. If that's the case, then they need to find a new venue for the wedding. They are mad about this, given the short time frame before the wedding. So we are at an impasse. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I've seen a few things brought up in the comments multiple times, so I'll quickly address them here. 1. Liability issues. I am fully aware of the liability risks, which is why I purchased, and they reimbursed me for, a special event insurance policy that provides 100% coverage for any damages, claims, injuries, etc., up to $2 million. This was one of the first things we did after I agreed to host the event at my home. 2. Guest size and facilities. The wedding will have a maximum of 75 guests, plus 5 catering staff and 5 security staff.
Security is necessary because it's an open area that anyone walking past can access. The house has hosted events twice this size, and logistically, it has been fine. The property has 2 cottages, one with 1 bathroom and the other with 2 bathrooms. The only portion of my house that will remain unlocked during the wedding is the finished basement, which has 2 additional bathrooms. 3. The +1 situation. Every single guest who is not in an established relationship received an invitation with a +1, including both me and Leslie. This conversation only came up after I sent in my RSVP and indicated that I would be bringing a +1. Now, they are saying they don't want me to bring a date because Leslie blew up about it, and they are afraid of a scene at the wedding. 4. Leslie has also indicated she intends to bring a +1. I have no idea if she actually will, but she put it down on her RSVP. Now for the top comments before reading the update. They want to tell you who you can have at your own home and think it is fine. They're nuts. If they want to dictate guest rules, they should pay for a venue. He is being generous, and they're being entitled. Yeah, he is offering them a free wedding venue, and they're trying to control his personal life in return? That's not how favors work. Pull an Uno reverse. Tell them Leslie isn't allowed on your property and watch their heads explode. The petty part of me did absolutely consider saying, well, Leslie cannot come to my house or on my land, so it shouldn't be a problem. My younger self would have said, F that, it's my property, and I'll bring a date. Or you can hold your wedding at the local VFW for all I care. My older, more thoughtful self says, Dave, you're my friend, and I don't want to ruin you and your fiancé's day. Since you want Leslie at the wedding, I won't bring a date out of respect for you. If she brings someone, fine. Yes, it's crappy for Dave and Kim to make that demand, but it's also crappy to pull the rug out from under them this late in the game. Couples planning a wedding can get a little crazy, dealing with thousands of details and having to navigate/prevent potential drama between family members and friends. It's super stressful. I definitely sympathize with how you're feeling. But if it were me, I'd swallow my pride and just let them have their day, especially if Dave's friendship is important to you. Interesting. A younger version of me would have let them do whatever they wanted and given in to every demand. But that is no longer my view on the matter. Dave's friendship does matter to me, but he is effectively giving me the middle finger as I see it. Over the last 6 months, I have put up with all types of nonsense due to Leslie. While most people don't know all the details of what I've endured, Dave does. As a result, I have taken all kinds of nonsense from virtually everyone on the wedding guest list. People begging or pleading with me to take Leslie back or some combination of both. I simply want to have someone there so I don't have to deal with the constant nonsense, lies, manipulations, etc. that have defined my interactions with these people. Dave doesn't care about that. So, it leaves me wondering, does he actually care about me? If the last 6 months had not been what they were, I might feel differently. But I have bent over backward to avoid making things difficult for Leslie. I simply cannot give in anymore. I am done. Now for the update. So, I met with Dave this morning. We talked for almost 2 hours about everything. I laid it out that I thought he was, at best, a crappy friend. I went through our long history of various incidents over the years that have made me question our friendship. That was the bulk of our conversation. Then we turned to the breakup with Leslie and the crap show of the last 6 months. Despite Leslie's craziness, I have bent over backward to try and accommodate her feelings. She has shown up at my house in the middle of the night, yet I did not go for a restraining order. When I go out, I avoid places I know she and her family frequent. She has implied to her family and mutual friends at various times that I cheated and/or that I took advantage of her financially, neither of which is true at all. I have held my tongue to avoid embarrassing her in front of her friends and family. Dave knows all of this, yet, once again, he is demanding that I put Leslie's feelings before my own. I said, you and everyone else need to stop coddling her like she's a freaking child. Dave admitted that Leslie has been crazy and ridiculous since the breakup, but he said she feels she didn't get closure after the relationship. She wants to have an evening where she can talk to you to get that closure. He also told me that Leslie has been very vigilant about paying off her debt and has paid off almost $10,000 of her credit card debt. She wants to talk to me about her progress to see if that might cause me to change my mind. It will not. I asked him, "So, do you expect me to go to the wedding and talk to her? Because I have her blocked everywhere, and date or not, I do not plan to say a single mumbling word to her." He said, "I fully expect she would lose it if y'all don't talk at the wedding." I told him, if that's the case, then for the good of my property, I can't have Leslie come. If she is so unstable that I need to be coerced into a conversation with her, then she is too unsafe to be a guest in any capacity at my home. So, I told him, based on what he just told me, Leslie cannot come to my house or onto my land. I am still willing to host the wedding, but I cannot trust that Leslie won't do something based on what he is saying. Dave lost it at this point. He yelled, "F you and your I don't need it." So I said, "Then the wedding is off." He left. So that's the state of things. To add, the day of the wedding is not the time to get closure, and at the wedding is not the place to get closure. Your friends are okay with her hijacking their ceremony so she can sleep better at night? Yeah, that would be a big not happening, any of it, from me. It sounds like they're prioritizing Leslie's feelings over your rights as the homeowner. Sounds like they're prioritizing her feelings over having a calm wedding and reception. They expect it to stay calm because they expect OP to fall in line with whatever get-back-together plan Leslie is hatching. It's nice for her that she's paying off her debt, but she's still a liar and obviously manipulative. I'd refund Dave for what he spent on the event insurance, then host my own party on that date at my home, a people who don't want to hang out with Leslie party. I bet there'd be a massive turnout. Well, I think one of your key takeaways from this is that you need to start living your life. Stop avoiding places you normally go to. Clarify to people why you broke up, that it wasn't because you cheated, and put together any evidence of her crazy behavior so you can get a restraining order if needed. You also need to tell people why the wedding isn't happening at your place because you know they're going to make you out to be the bad guy. This times 100. OP, there's no need for you to keep doing what you're doing. The whole group, including parents, needs all the details about what happened and what is still happening. If she shows up at your house again, call the police and have her trespassed. Too bad about Dave. He sounds like a big a-hole. You are better off without him in your life. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to switch seats on a plane even though a mom started crying? So, I, 27 male, was on a long-haul flight, about 10 hours, and I had booked a window seat months in advance. I get motion sickness, and having a window helps a lot. Plus, I was planning to sleep for most of the flight. When I got to my seat, a woman, maybe mid-30s, was sitting there with her baby on her lap. I politely told her that she was in my seat, and she, immediately, looked uncomfortable. She said she thought it would be okay since she wanted to sit with her husband, who was in the middle seat next to her. I asked where her original seat was. It turned out she was supposed to be in the middle seat of the row behind us. She asked if I could just take her seat so she could sit with her husband and baby. I glanced back and saw that her seat was squeezed between two big guys, and I already knew that wasn't going to work for me. I apologized and told her that I really preferred to keep my assigned seat. She kept insisting, saying, "It's just a seat," and "I'm a mother traveling with a baby." The husband wasn't really saying anything, just giving me a guilty look. A flight attendant came over because she was getting upset, and when I explained the situation, the attendant told her she had to sit in her assigned seat if I wasn't willing to switch. Then she started crying. Not full-on sobbing, but she looked really frustrated and kept shaking her head like I was some kind of monster. I felt bad, but at the same time, I had paid for this seat and specifically booked it early. The guy next to me whispered, "Good for you, man. People always try to pull this." After takeoff, I put my headphones in and tried to sleep, but I could feel the people behind me glaring. When we landed, the husband mumbled, "Must be nice to have no empathy," as I grabbed my bag. Am I the a-hole for not giving up my seat? Now for the top comments. I don't even need to read your post. Whenever anyone wants to keep their assigned seat, they are not the a-hole. I've never understood this whole concept. If I can't find the seat I need on a flight, I don't buy it and check other flights. Pretty straightforward. Exactly. The only a-holes are the ones who expect someone to switch with them. You're not the a-hole for asking, but you are for sulking when rejected. Not the a-hole. I'm a frequent flyer. Fly round trip like 6 times a year. And when that person said, people always try to pull this, he was not lying. Someone else's poor planning is not your responsibility. On top of that, why didn't the husband man up and take the kid for part of the flight? Yeah, not gonna lie. I can't help but wonder if it wasn't that the husband bought the plane tickets cheaper this way and said, "Don't worry, honey. No one's gonna tell a mom with a baby they won't switch seats." Dad here that just bought plane tickets. Damn right. I paid more to select the seats for my family, so we weren't spread around the plane in middle seats. Yeah, it sucks that the advertised price doesn't come with seat selection and picking a seat is 20% more or whatever, but you have to suck it up and pick the upgrade. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to be a prisoner to motherhood after my divorce? I, 32 female, recently separated from my ex-husband, 33 male, after years of feeling like I was disappearing. I was a wife, I was a mom, but me? I didn't exist anymore. My entire life revolved around my marriage and our 3 kids, 13, 5, and almost 2. I love my children more than anything, and I have them the majority of the time. When they're with me, I give them everything. Homework, bedtime stories, family outings. And for the first time in years, I actually feel present, instead of trapped in a dark hole of exhaustion and self-hate. But on the rare days or weeks they're with their dad, I finally have a moment to breathe. I've been using that time to do things I never got to do when I was married. Hiking in the mountains, camping under the stars, going to concerts, making friends, playing my games, and watching my movies. I'm figuring out who I am outside of just mom. And now my ex is losing his mind over it. He says I'm abandoning our kids and being selfish. He's running around telling mutual friends and family that I care more about having an adventure than being a mother. Apparently, because I go on overnight camping trips, I'm irresponsible. What does he expect me to do? Sit in an empty house, staring at the walls, waiting for my kids to come back? For context, during our marriage, he had plenty of hobbies, late-night gaming, concerts, nights out with friends, and even a planned Vegas trip with his coworkers. He never once questioned whether he was abandoning his family. But now that I'm doing something for myself, suddenly I'm the villain? I feel like I'm being a good mom by taking care of my mental health and showing my kids that life doesn't end when things get hard. But his words are starting to get to me. So, am I the a-hole for finally choosing me for once? Editing to answer some questions. 1. Was my ex abusive? Yes. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I couldn't go to the store without him. He had to go to the gym with me to keep an eye on me, and he kept my credit cards in his wallet for his use only. If I needed anything, clothes, shampoo, undergarments, he told me I was wasting his money. Any money I did make from side jobs was his money. 2. Did he ever want to do things together? No. If I asked to go do anything, he would make the entire day miserable. Either by tearing me down until I wanted to disappear, or by messing with the kids so they would be miserable, which in turn made me miserable. 3. How did I finally leave? By the time I was able to leave him, I was wishing a car would hit me so I wouldn't have to deal with it anymore, because I thought there was no way out. My cousin came and picked me and my kids up and took us to Tennessee so I could reset. When I didn't feel like dying anymore, we took a road trip back home, which helped clear my head even more. By the time we got back, I was able to move out, even with him screaming at me. Why does he even know what you do when the kids aren't there? It's none of his business. His sisters and our daughter stalk my Instagram, and I can't figure out which follower it is. I blocked their main accounts. Change your settings to private then. Also, take this to a family judge and tell them you wish to give up majority custody for 50-50 time. You're not a bad mom for wanting some you time. He's only whining because now he actually has to be responsible and take care of his kids. You deserve time to hang out with friends and pursue your hobbies when you're not mothering. Your kids will see the difference too. They can tell when mom isn't happy. It is private, and I wouldn't trust him to have them more than he already does. He doesn't even pay attention to school holidays. He just asked me if the kids have school today. What does he do when you have the kids? Lives the life of a hermit monk? He still goes out and does everything he did when we were together. Even when he has the kids, his mom watches them so he can continue to do the things he was already doing. Tell everyone that piece of info and ask if they still think you are a bad parent. He's just jealous you have a life now. He probably wonders why you are divorced, lol. Oh, he does, and also blames me for everything. My 23 male girlfriend, 22 female, blocked every girl on my Instagram while I was in the shower. Original post. My girlfriend and I started dating in February and moved in together in October. I don't really have anything worth keeping secret from her, so I'm comfortable leaving my phone around, knowing she knows my password. I noticed this morning that my Instagram follower count was off and discovered that every female was unfollowed or blocked. These were all co-workers, friends I made in the army, family friends, etc. I confronted her and she started crying and blaming it on trust issues. I have never cheated on any relationship and do my best to maintain mutual trust. I've been thinking all day while she's at work and feel like she permanently broke my trust. She also doesn't let me play video games with my male friends anymore because she feels left out. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Dude, just leave. You don't need to plan an escape. Just sit her down and tell her you're breaking up. Then leave and go no contact. The fact she doesn't let you game with the boys is already a red flag and a deal breaker. This additional insane behavior is icing on the cake. This happened to me, but it was an ex-boyfriend. He also did it after I told him it was a boundary for me, and if it was crossed, I would leave. After catching him doing exactly this, I calmly walked him to the front door of my house and said, I told you if you break this boundary, we are over. So this is the end of our romantic relationship. I love you as a person, but this is unacceptable, and we will potentially talk later if and when I feel ready for it. And then I shut the door. And that was that. Real story. Why I set that boundary is because behavior like this is irrational and highly manipulative. And if they do this once, they will do it again. I personally have zero tolerance for this because of that. I say leave now because it's going to happen again. Plus, all of the other controlling behavior is screaming this is going to keep getting worse. If you don't set that boundary and break up, you are teaching her it's okay to behave like this. Staying in relationships where someone is doing this right off the rip is also teaching yourself that it's okay to be abused and manipulated, which is unhealthy for you both on so many levels. I know it's complicated when leases are involved, but I promise there is a way out, and it's going to be better to pull the plug now before it continues to escalate and your entire life is up in flames. There has to be a way to do so. Find your inner worth, my guy, and claim it, because staying with this type of behavior ain't it. That would be a deal breaker for me. She invaded your privacy and messed with your stuff. She's nuts. She could have chosen to speak to you about her concerns, but you got sneaky instead and then wants to cry about it? Nah, get out. That's some weird, controlling, and manipulative mess. Giving someone access to see what's up isn't consent to mess around with your stuff. These are the steps that lead to abuse, Sophie. She has a lot of growing up to do. She has healing to do. Both are required to have a healthy adult relationship that includes trusting her partner. If she doesn't trust you this much after 10 months, she's never going to trust you. Now for the update. The night after I submitted my original post, I told her I needed boundaries while gaming with my friends. This resulted in a bad argument and a breakup. She broke my PC and threatened to give my cat to the Humane Society. The kennel was hers, so I had no way to get him out until I convinced her not to make this the cat's problem. She also threatened my sister for letting me stay with her and started harassing my friend I play games with. She made sure to call all of her friends and family to make sure they knew she was 100% the victim. While I was putting my stuff in a car, she started kicking my bags, threatening me, and tried to get in the car while I was pulling off. I received about 400 phone calls, texts, Instagram messages, etc. I wanted to relay some of your advice to her, but she clearly wasn't interested in taking any accountability. I blocked her on all platforms. I forgot a bunch of stuff while scrambling to leave, and she told me she was selling my $600 Garmin and anything else I forgot. My cat and I are now living on my sister's couch for the time being. To everyone saying, "Dude, just leave," I planned on secretly moving all my stuff out while she was at work because I knew this would be the reaction. Looks like you dodged a bullet here. I mean, I wouldn't say he dodged it. He's homeless now and she broke and stole a bunch of his stuff. He could have married her. That's the bullet he dodged. And he should have done what women have done. Gotten the police to go with him to retrieve his belongings. She's an abuser. Never be alone with her again. When/if you go back to get your stuff, bring people you trust with you. Not just because she might hurt you, but because she might accuse you of things. She clearly has no limits. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Be safe. Tell her that if she sells anything and doesn't return it to you in great condition, you'll take her to small claims court. And every time she collects a check, you'll be getting those garnished wages. Next story. I was cruel to my ex's mistress and I don't regret it. He cheated on me with her for 3 years, and now 6 months after I ended things, she shows up on my doorstep crying about how she caught him making plans to meet up with a woman he met on Tinder. Like, excuse me? She really thought I would take pity on her for being pregnant and getting cheated on when he was at her place screwing her while I had to deliver our stillborn daughter. I cannot make this stuff up. She's that delusional. And she had the audacity to get upset when I laughed at her. I had no idea why she thought I would be sympathetic. I guess she assumed that since we were both cheated on by the same person, I would see where she was coming from. But I've never given her any indication that I'd be a good person to confide in. I despise her, and she knows it. I told her as much, and she started crying how she was sorry and regretted everything, claiming she never wanted to hurt me. Total lie. She knew about me, but that she loved him. I told her to get lost and to cry to someone else, because I couldn't even pretend to feel sorry for her after everything she and he did to me and my kids. I said we weren't friends, just because she was stupid enough to think she was different. I know it's cruel and all of this makes me a bad person, but I'm unapologetic. She and my ex messed with my life and my health, and now her karma's that her delusions were shattered. She'll have to deal with the both of us for at least the next 18 years. If they do it with you, they'll do it to you. She thought the leopards weren't going to eat her face. As they say, when a man marries his mistress, that creates a vacancy. She fooled around and found out. I don't think you're a bad person at all, but I do think it makes her an even worse person to come crying to you, of all people, for sympathy. I'll never understand why she came to me when she knows that I hate her. Here's hoping that the new mistress is smarter than she is. LMFAO. Guessing it's because everyone else in her life wasn't giving her the response she wanted, or because she was rightfully too ashamed and/or embarrassed to tell them. Either way, not your problem. I'm always baffled at those men or women who think they're so special that they'll be the exception. Karma's a bitch, but we love her. She learned a hard lesson and has nobody to talk to and came to you. She's a joke. I hope you heal and are happy, especially seeing their downfall. I'm doing much better now. Thank you. It's been a hard time, but I have a good support system and I've been trying to heal for myself and for my kids. I'm so happy to hear that. I stayed single after my ex and it took a while to heal. One day, I'll hopefully find someone who isn't like him to sweep me off my feet. I hope you find that too. They're not all bad, but some need to realize the damage they do to a person. Next story. My dad got my boyfriend fired. My 23 female dad and I had a strained relationship my whole life. He is one of those guys who thinks it is better to be feared than loved, even when it comes to your kids. My boyfriend Tom, 24 male, and I met our freshman year of college. We had a lot of the same interests and a similar sense of humor, and we quickly became best friends. It took us both way too long to realize that we were in love with each other. We have been dating for 5 years now. He truly is my best friend, and I love him very much. Tom is really big on family. He and his family are incredibly close, and he really wanted to make a good impression on mine. I have brought Tom to every single birthday, holiday, and family gathering that I've attended since we started dating. My mom adores Tom. Every time we go see her, he bakes her banana bread, her favorite, and always helps her with fixing things around her house. He plays Xbox with my little brother and buys him a new game once in a while. He gossips with my younger sisters when they spill tea about their classmates at school. He'll help me sneak my siblings out to Sonic for late-night milkshakes. Everyone loves being around him because he is a good man and has taken the time to form relationships with them. However, my dad has barely ever spoken to him. Over the years, I've asked him to engage with Tom more, but he refused. Tom has tried very hard to connect with my dad, and I told him not to take it personally and that my dad is just like that. I came to my breaking point one day when I casually mentioned that Tom and I are considering getting married soon. My dad told me that there is no chance in hell that I should consider marrying anyone until he got to know him. I asked my dad why he was just now showing an interest in getting to know Tom, since we've literally been dating for years. He told me that there was no point in getting to know him before, since he didn't think Tom was worth talking to. At this point, I was very upset. I asked how he would know if Tom was worth talking to if he never really carried a conversation with him. My dad blew up at me. He told me that I was being disrespectful to him and that it is not my job to question his experience. He then proceeded to tell me that I am far too naive and simple-minded to make a decision of this magnitude without his expertise. I lost it. Years of being frustrated with my dad for his dismissal of my feelings just took over. I started yelling at him about how he has no right to talk to me like that since I am an adult, and I have been making my own decisions for years now, that he can't have an opinion on my love life since he barely knows me, that Tom is twice the man that he's ever been, and that if he ever wanted to talk to me again, he needed to apologize to me. I left feeling angry, but almost relieved that I finally stood up to my dad for the first time in my life. I went to visit Tom later that night to tell him what happened. When I got there, he looked really upset and told me that he had just been fired at his tech job. I asked him why, and he said he was given no reason. He was escorted out of the building by HR in the middle of the day. A few minutes later, my dad calls me and I let it go to voicemail. He said that I left him no choice and that he needed to show me that I was wrong. Turns out my dad is good buddies with some in HR at Tom's workplace, and he was fired at my dad's request. My dad has never acted like this to my knowledge, and it seems like he's gone crazy. My dad still has legal custody over my younger siblings and is trying to file a restraining order against Tom to prevent him from seeing them. He stole all of the money in my savings account that I've been saving for years, about $12,000, that I forgot he was a signer on and transferred it to an account I don't have access to. He has been calling the police telling them that Tom is abusing me and they need to arrest him. I have been questioned about this several times. My dad refuses to respond to any of my texts or calls, but he has been leaving Tom hundreds of voicemails about how he will regret turning me against him. We are talking to a lawyer about taking steps to undo this mess, and my mom is starting to process to get sole custody of my younger siblings. Everything has been really stressful, but Tom has been an incredible partner throughout this whole ordeal. I am more sure than ever that Tom is the man for me, and we will be getting married once this is all resolved. Can Tom sue his ex-employer? Might be able to get HR fired. Save that voicemail from Daddy. It's evidence against the company and against Daddy for interfering in your boyfriend's occupation. Your father should probably be checked for some kind of medical issue. Dementia, brain tumor, stroke. But for now, he's a danger to be around. Your father is a sociopath. Follow the legal guidance and get him out of your life as soon as possible. Seriously, OP, file a police report about the money being taken from your account. If he's a signer, he legally can access and transfer the money. It's not a police issue but a civil one, unfortunately. You see this BS all the time in banking. That's why you should always open another account, preferably at a different bank if you're leaving a relationship or dealing with abusive people. Last story. My 27 male girlfriend, 27 female, is upset that I didn't help my ex-girlfriend, 26 female. My ex, Leah, 26 female, and I were together for about a year when I was 24. She ended up cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend and got pregnant with his child, so I broke off the relationship and moved on. I hadn't seen or spoken to her in years until Monday afternoon. I was expecting a call from a hiring manager about a job I had applied for, so when my phone rang, I answered it. On the other end was a woman speaking really quietly at first, asking if this was Justin, my name. When I said it was, she introduced herself as Leah and apologized. When she said her name, I remembered who it was and asked why she was calling me. She told me that she and her ex-boyfriend had gone to Walmart and had a fight because they couldn't afford items for their child. Apparently, he got so upset and blamed her for their situation, then started beating her in the car in the Walmart parking lot. He then told her to get out and left her stranded. She said she needed an Uber to get home. I told her I was sorry, but I couldn't help her, and I hung up. My girlfriend was with me and asked if that was the hiring manager. I explained what had happened and she got upset. She said it changed the way she sees me because she has always known me to be a kind and respectful man, and she wants to be with someone who respects women. She felt that my decision to turn away a woman in need, even if it was my ex, showed a lack of respect for women. She said it seemed like I did it to punish Leah, though punishing her had nothing to do with my decision. My ex and I haven't been together in 2 years. I've moved on, and I don't feel like I have any responsibility to help someone I have no relationship with anymore. However, my girlfriend has been distant ever since, saying she's disappointed in me and questioning our relationship. She's worried that this is how I would treat her if something went wrong and we broke up. After that, she went home and she's been quiet instead of her usual enthusiastic self. I don't know how to bridge this gap. What can I do to fix this? You did a right thing. Why would Leah call someone she cheated on and hasn't spoken to in years in this situation, instead of calling a friend or family member? Because she was trying to scam something out of you. If respect is so important to your girlfriend, she should understand that self-respect is most important, and that's exactly what you demonstrated. It's the only number she knows off the top of her head, or the closest geographically, or someone she felt safe with. Or she's recently been attacked and she's in shock and her choices aren't the most logical. I don't feel like I have any responsibility to help someone I have no relationship with anymore. She wants to be with someone that helps others, not someone who only does it when they feel a responsibility. You can't fix it. You are who you are and she is who she is. There's no right person, but you seem incompatible. She was probably rattled you were cold about someone you once loved because she is not like that. This is the most reasonable response. Opie and his girlfriend have different views and may be incompatible. No one is in the wrong. It's wild how many people are slinging mud at the girlfriend. If it was serious enough that she was in danger, she could have called the police or mall security. If it was trivial enough to call you, someone she hasn't spoken to in 2 years and ended on bad terms with, she could have called family members or friends. Your girlfriend isn't using much sense here. That's honestly how I feel.